So this drawing took me a little over 9 hours to complete. I gave myself the deadline of this morning at 9 a.m. and I met that deadline. And the reason why, when it comes to creating anything at all, to give yourself a deadline is so that you don't keep working on it till the end of time, right? It has to be finished. You have to put it out into the world at some point. You just can't keep going forever and ever and ever. Because like it'll never be finished, it'll never be done, right? There's always going to be room for improvement. I look at this now and I can already like know that, it's definitely not perfect. It's definitely some stuff I could have improved. I could have worked on some more, some stuff that I could have started all over again, right? Especially compared to the actual image, like what it actually looks like, right? So this is the finished one, and of course I'm gonna have videos of me, like, my time lapse of me going through it and everything like that, so that way you guys can see the process. I only used a handful of materials. What I used to draw this was graphite. So I used a graphite block. No, sorry, not graphite, charcoal, a charcoal block, a blending stump, a thick blending stump, a chamois cloth, and a kind of like a retractable eraser. I don't know how to call it. And yeah, it was definitely fun. And as I was going through this, I just kind of like was able to reinvigorate this passion that I have for art, because it was just so enjoyable for me to see the entire process of me going through the drawing, of me just kind of like not sitting there, I was standing the entire time, but of me just kind of like going in and drawing and then stepping back and then seeing it transform itself, and then coming back to it, going back in and stuff like that. And I found that earlier in the process, it was more fun. Getting into it was kind of like a little bit of a struggle, because it's like, oh man, I feel like I haven't done this in a while. What if I'm not gonna be good? I'm already putting pen or charcoal to paper, and I'm like, oh man, it already looks like crap. It already looks horrible. But I'm not even like 30 minutes into drawing it, and then you just kind of have to kind of put your nose to the grindstone a little bit and just keep going past that initial first hour or so, right, until you can actually see it become something. And then once from there all the way to like maybe close to the end, that's where it's like the most amount of fun. At least for me, right? That's where it's the most amount of fun. And then towards the end, where it's coming towards completion, now I'm kind of getting conflicted. Now I'm getting confused. Now I'm getting anxious and worrying if it's good. Did I work hard enough? Did I do enough? Am I doing enough? Is it finished? It doesn't look like it's finished. Let me keep going here and there. And then it becomes a bit redundant, right? So that's why at some point I was like, okay, I have to finish this today by 9 a.m. And I did, right? I woke up early. I woke up at 5, worked on it some more. But the more I kept working on it, the less I had to do, because it was like almost there, right? It was like towards the last maybe 3 hours of so working on it. It was more of just me just kind of going back onto the canvas and just adding some stuff or taking away some stuff, stepping back to take a look at it, doing the same thing over and over again, giving myself like longer and longer periods of time before I even touch the paper again, just so I can kind of like step away from it, not think about it, and then come back to it with like fresh eyes and a new perspective, right? That's why I think it's very important when we're working on things and we've been focused on it, laser focused on all the minute details. It's going to be a lot more beneficial to take a step back, look at the entire picture in its entirety, and then leave it alone for a couple of hours or a couple of days, depending on the scale and the size of the project, right? And I've learned this through just my time as an artist in general. You find out, once you come back, usually there's always more stuff to improve, right? In the middle of me doing me drawing this, there were times where I was maybe 3 hours in, and I'm like thinking, I think it's about finished. I think it's about done. I think this is about the entire thing. This is fine. And then I'll keep going and I keep going. And then I'm like, okay, let me add this, let me take away this, let me fix this. And then I'll step back thinking maybe it's done. Maybe it's done. Maybe I'm done with it. Maybe it's finished. And then when I come back, I'm like looking at it, and then I look at the reference photo, right? And I'm like, hell no, this is not done. Let me keep going, and then and now I'm at 9 hours 7 minutes to be exact, right? Or not to be exact because I didn't track the first couple of hours. I spent 3 days total on this, but it was like a couple of hours out of each day. But I'm not sure exactly on the amount of hours I did on my first day. I only started timing myself the second day. But it might have been more hours, who knows, I'm not sure. And it was a great experience, right? Just to go through the whole thing, to see it come together as a piece. For me, that is the most enjoyable part about making art, is to actually see it come together, to see it become something. And then that way, it just kind of further motivates me to keep working on it more, to try to perfect it and better it as best as I can, right? Now, of course, the final product here isn't an exact one-to-one replica of the reference photo that I use, right? But I feel like I did as best as I can. I know that I definitely could have done better, but again, I did give myself that deadline, right? So I won't keep working on it for eternity. And if I'm working on it for eternity, I won't be able to put out a video or any type of any type of content, right? So it's like I have to make art in a way to where I can still be able to share it, right? And on a consistent basis. So that's going to kind of like lead us to have to really work under more pressure. That way, when we have a definite amount of time, a finite amount of time to work on something, we're not just sitting here working on it, relentlessly until the end of our days, right? It has to come out at some point, right? There has to be a point, especially even if you don't give yourself a deadline, there has to be a point to where you say, okay, I'm done, I'm finished, right? But don't give up so early, don't give in so early, because you can still perfect it, right? Always think in the back of your mind, did I apply myself properly? Did I do enough? Is this good enough? Is this good enough? Is this better? Is there more improvement, right? And that reflection does kind of take time for you to step back a little bit and just to get a fresh perspective on it, right? Maybe even ask some friends or family members, maybe you're not even finished with it, but you ask them to come in and you ask hey, what do you think, right? But you might not be thinking their opinion matters because they don't experience art, they're not experienced with art, but their opinion definitely does matter, right? Because they're a fresh set of eyes that aren't connected to the piece at all as strongly as you would be, right? Or as I would be, as an artist, right? So it's definitely great to get perspective from other people who are artists and people who are not artists. And then of course, to step back away from it. Don't even look at it. Try not to even think about it. Come back to it like an hour later or a day later, and then really just look at it and analyze it and be like, okay, this can be added to it, or maybe it's just done, right? So it's a great process. And for art, right, for drawing, it's also meditative for me, especially when I'm not listening to anything or watching anything, or having any other stimulation. It's just me, the pen and paper. I was able to have a lot of deep thoughts and conversations with myself, be able to reflect on a lot of experiences just by focusing on this one thing for hours at a time, right? And it's allowed me to have a lot more clarity of mind and silence, especially since I'm also not sitting down in a chair. My body's moving around. I did this all standing up, right? I had I had it taped up, and I had this ghetto set up with this cardboard thing right here. So the eraser marks and the charcoal that was falling down could be caught, so my floor wouldn't get dirty. I need to buy easel, but it's it just allows me to move around and then to be also able to correlate these physical movements, especially with the arm movements and everything like that, with thoughts. And I feel like it allowed for me to have much more creative thoughts, right? So if you're gonna make something, don't do it with music, right? Don't do it with music, don't do it with a podcast, don't do it with other people talking in your ear, unless you have a friend sitting there in real life, right? Do it alone, by yourself, right? Do it alone, do it in isolation, unless it's a collaborative effort. but don't have like other stuff playing in the background that can like influence your creative decisions, right? Unless like you're looking for that specific type of influence. But if you want it to be purely your own mind, your own thoughts, and your own ability going into whatever it is you're creating, then don't worry about anything else. Just work on this thing, man. And it's honestly, it was so fun, right? So if you're an artist or you're an aspiring to be an artist, you know, I really hope this kind of like motivated you, right? You always want to be thinking like, am I doing enough? Is there more that I can do, right? You know, did I apply myself fully to this piece of work, right? Did I give my full entire gift and my full entire essence, right? And honestly, like, I don't think I did, right? I definitely think there's still room for improvement, right? But it's like, I'm reluctant to keep working on it because, you know, what if like, you know, I never finish, or what if it's never satisfactory, right? So that's, at this point, it's up to what the audience can think, right? I can think I released a major doo-doo, but, you know, outside people might think it's complete gold, right? So it really all depends on other people's perspective, right? And then, of course, what you think, right? But if you feel like it needs to be finished, it needs to be worked on more, then go ahead and do so, right? That's your liberty. You have the freedom to do that. But just know that every piece of work, everything we create has to be finished at some point in time. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Check out my Instagram, stuff like that. You know, hit me up, whatever, ask me some questions. You know, if you think I'm handsome, let me know. You know, if you think I'm like, you know, very smart and intelligent and very cool, let me know. You know, whatever, right? So yeah, see you guys in the next video. Peace out.